Okay, I'm going to make Seekh Kabab, and these are the ingredients that you need. You need ground beef, and you need all these spices that I will. Some red onions, a cutting board, knife, a pan. Okay, we'll start with cutting the onions and putting them in the food processor. And the green chilies. I usually use Thai chili because I like the hot and spicy flavor of Thai chili. But this will do today because that was the only one I could find. I'll put them in the food processor and chop it to a consistency that matches the ground beef. All right, let's chop the onions. This is the texture that you want. We're going to get rid of some of the extra water by putting it in a strainer, and then we'll mix it with ground beef. While I'm waiting for onions to sit in the strainer for about 5 minutes, I would press it down a little bit because I don't want too many juices in there. And I'm going to take chickpea flour, about a 1/4 cup of that, and use my cast iron pan to kind of dry roast it just for about a minute until you feel the aroma. You can smell it, but make sure you don't burn it. It's so easy to burn chickpea flour, so please make sure that you're on top of it, constantly stirring it. So the chickpea flour is roasted now. Okay, now time to put everything together. I got my ground beef, and then more than a pound, I think. Not exactly 2 pounds, but just 1 tray of ground beef. And the chickpea flour that we roasted. I got pink salt. You can use regular salt if you want. This is 1 tablespoon of pink salt, half a teaspoon of garam masala, 1 tablespoon of red chilies, and about 1 tablespoon of coriander powder. So I'm going to put everything in there, and then there's some dried mint that I have from this summer, and I'm going to crush it and add it into my Seekh Kabab. So traditionally, Seekh Kabab are made on skewers, and usually they're barbecued. But the recipe I'm sharing, I mean, you can barbecue it in summer or in winter, who cares? You can barbecue these by putting them on skewers, or you can just pan roast them. You can even make a curry with them. You can make kofta. You can make burger patty with the same recipe. So this one recipe, you can do so many things with it. I'm going to add the onions, and you can see all the juices that came out of the onions. I'm not using them. I'm going to mix this the traditional way, using my hands. Just mix, mix, mix until it's nicely blended. And when you smell it, you shouldn't be like, there shouldn't be a meaty kind of smell to it. Okay, everything is mixed now. I use regular ground beef. So if you use a lean ground beef, the kebabs may not turn out very good. And the reason we put the chickpea flour in is so that they bind well. So I'm going to test one tiny little kebab and see if everything is good and it's not falling apart. It's good to test it, so that if it's falling apart, then I would add some more of the chickpea flour. Okay, I'm testing this kebab, and so far it looks that it's pretty good. It didn't fall apart or anything, so we are good to shape our kebabs now. So take a little bit of ground beef on your hands. You can put a little bit of oil or water so it doesn't stick to your hands, and shape them. Or you can use the cutting board, roll them around, and when you get pretty much the length of your hand, you can just put them aside. The reason we make them a little longer is because they will shrink when we cook these kebabs. They're going to shrink. If you want to shape them in circles for burgers, You can certainly make burger patty by adding some tomatoes to it. That will make it a little more juicier. And you can put it on the grill and barbecue it. It tastes delicious. And you can easily freeze them. They can sit in the freezer. I've kept them in the freezer for up to 3 months, but I mean, they don't last that long. Like I said, you can use the same base for 3 different types of ground beef recipes. You can make beef patty with that to go in the burger. You can make Seekh Kabab and use skewers or without skewers on the pan, or you can make kofta in a curry base. So that would be kofta, and that's the same recipe. So out of that 1 pack of ground beef, I was able to make about a dozen kofta and about 15, I think, of the kebabs. I'm going to roast the kebab. So pour some oil on the pan just to cover the bottom. Not too much, not too little. That's the same pan I roasted my chickpea flour in. And once the oil is warm, we're going to start putting our Seekh Kabab on the pan. My pan can hold 6 to 7 kebabs, so I'll cook them from one side and then stir them a little bit to cook the other side. So one side is done, so I'm just moving them to cook the other side. And as the kebabs are cooking there, I'm going to take another red onion and cut them into circles, into rings, and in order to garnish my Seekh Kabab. While I'm roasting these Seekh Kababs, I'm getting this tray ready where I'm going to serve them. I put some lettuce and some tomatoes, and the onions are ready there. So the pan that I used to roast kebab, I'm going to use the same pan to caramelize the onions a little bit. Serving the Seekh Kabab on a bed of caramelized onions with some lemons inside. The meat lover's dream. My dad, who usually doesn't eat beef, but when my mom makes these kebabs, he cannot resist. He would always have a few, and he never eats beef otherwise. Here's another serving suggestion for the kebabs that we made. You can take a kebab and put some peppers, lettuce, tomato, and a little bit of chutney that I made with yogurt, some dried mint, salt, and chilies. And roll it nicely to make a kebab wrap. Your kids are going to love this. So this way or that way?